scenes. Meantime, the FBI and D.C. police asking for the public's help identifying these individuals allegedly involved in this wild brawl at a Chipotle restaurant in D.C. over the weekend. Rafael Jauregui says he is the man in the red shirt. He stopped to get his kids something to eat after taking them to a baseball game at Nationals Park, which is nearby. He says he ended up having to protect his 5 children, one just 4 years old, by backing them up into a concrete column. Rafael joins me now. Rafael, I know you are former military and your instincts kind of kick in, but you had 7 kids. The 2 oldest were fortunately in a bathroom at a different restaurant. Yes. You know, it's kind of amazing. You say military instincts have to kick in. Tell us about what happened.
Yes, Trace, how are you today? So, you know, just trying to go to a ball game, get some food after. Chipotle was supposedly supposed to be a safe spot for us. And, you know, as we go in there, I choose the location, right? It's this blessing and a curse where I'm always analyzing the threat analysis. It's just something that's built into you as a military member. And so as I'm going about my business, I said, we're going to sit here. I'm going to face the door. My back doesn't face it. But I had already planned out something of a protective posture if something were to go down, right? There's always that if. And in this case, that curse turned into a blessing because that if did happen, and I was able to quickly call commands to the children. They got up, they got behind, and we postured, and we used that concrete barrier and to the right you see in the scenes there, and I used that as a protective shield. There was wrought iron chairs, these wooden high chairs. I mean, these things are heavy, and so any of that type of flinging of anything anywhere in the air with momentum and inertia, it's going to hurt. Somebody.
And on that point, Rafael, you say that the police said there were no injuries, and you're like, I kind of doubt that because these things are big and heavy.
Yes, you know, there's inertia and there's gravity and then there's weight, right? And so there was sound. So not only did my son say that these things he can't unsee, the children were having a little bit of a challenge with that, right? It's something that's replaying in their mind, but there's also the audio, right? And so on a lot of these things, you don't associate that audio and that video together, but when you put that together, it's a horrific scene. And what we're seeing here, Trace, is the last 10 seconds of it. I actually believe there's a time and space challenge here, but I actually believe that the whole from the start to the finish was about 8 minutes with about 2 or 3 minutes of just that WrestleMania insanity that just happened.
WrestleMania, you said, you know, it started, you think, as some kind of a domestic dispute, and then there was this ambush. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so at first, you know, the threat alert went up. There was a sort of a loud argument or a discussion, and I don't know what was going on, but it was enough for me to pick up and focus, and then there was just like a brawl. And at first I thought it was just a local brawl, you know, there was something domestic at that level, but then that ambush was just a sort of a piling of individuals that just rushed into the store in a coordinated attack type formation, right? Just being prior military, that was just not just teens walking in and strolling in. This was a dedicated meetup, focused, pre-planned, premeditated. That's my thought. That's how I analyze it.
The U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, thinks she really does think that maybe parents should be prosecuted in cases like this. Where do you come down on that?
You know, it's one of these things. Parenting is difficult. I have 7 children, and it's challenging, right? And there's all kinds of levels, but at some basic level as a parent, right, there's this responsibility to raise citizens of this world, right? Citizenship is very important. So if there's a failure point here, I think the parents should be held accountable, right? I work really hard to make sure that my children are on point, right? That we're doing the things that we need to do to raise citizens, folks that are going to do amazing things, right? Astronauts, doctors, all that stuff. And sometimes not everybody's going to be that, and that's great. But we need to just raise people that I would say, you know, that want to be peaceful and find joy in life, right?
What about teen curfews?
You know, it's one of these things where that could be divided. So with teen curfew, right, if I know where my children are, there's a curfew. I remember when I was little, it was, you know, the street lights come on, come home type thing. And we live in a different world. But I do support teen curfew, and it has to be a reasonable hour, right? We can't set a teen curfew at 7 p.m., but it also should not be midnight, right? So let's find a good solution here where we can work on a solution for these problems.
Rafael Jauregui, great to have you. Thank you that you are thankful.
Tracy.
Thanks for your service, first of all, and that your family is okay after the brawl.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.